Wait, which one?
This,
yeah.
You know what it is.
What is good, everyone? We are back with another You Know What It Is podcast with the segment Intentional Living. I am your host, Randii. All right. And then we have our co-host over here, Kelley. Kelley Boom with Empowered Self-Healers. So as we were setting our space and setting our intention and whatnot, kind of just wanted to touch on a little bit of like what we're going through over here. I got a little jitters right now. All right, a little ADHD kind of going. I had some green tea, some caffeine, without eating or any water. So my mind is literally everywhere, and we've been sitting here for a good 10 minutes trying to get grounded.
Yeah, we're like doing all the Zen. We're like, I'm in the same boat. I had a little bit of coffee and also didn't really, literally just coffee. I never drink coffee because of how it makes me feel, but I just wanted it, okay? I wanted it. So I indulged.
Yeah.
I'm human.
We indulged a little bit. So, yeah.
So we're both a little squirrely.
Yes, very squirrely, okay? I'm sure that some of y'all can relate, okay? But we are doing our best to get grounded here. Excited for the topic for today. We're actually going to be talking about continuing growth mindset. We're going to give a little recap. Kelley's going to lead us through a little recap on what that is, the science behind it, and then tie it in with how anxiety and depression fit into the growth mindset and the intelligence and the meaning behind some of these emotions and traumas and triggers that might come up. So before we get started, let's go ahead and take a moment to get grounded. Set some intentions for yourself. Me and Kelley are going to set our intentions. I open this space of silence for everyone to tell yourself whatever you want to hear. Set the intention for the day just while you're listening to this podcast. And just really be present in the moment, open to receive. And so, yeah, let's just take a couple minutes.
Beautiful. Okay. I hope that we were all able to connect back to center, bringing it full circle. And, this is just great because it really humanizes everything, spirituality. And as much as I don't necessarily even relate to that word, I know a lot of you do. So, it has this connotation of some kind of little kumbaya to it and whatnot. And honestly, it's just not the case. These things we talk about, they're not only past struggles, but sometimes they're current struggles too. We are literally just like you.
Yes.
And we're just, offering what we can, but be mindful and aware of parasocial relationships, aka, putting others on a pedestal, thinking that they might be above certain things or anything. We are literally just like you. We're all here together.
Yes.
And we're not above any of this. We deal with it, and sometimes we deal with it day to day,
Yeah.
So
we're having a human experience just like every one of you.
Mm-hmm.
So we have our days, all right? We have our days where, hey, it's hard for me to focus. It's hard for me to get there. But again, like Kelley was saying, it brings this human experience to, listening. Yes, we have a wealth of knowledge and experience and whatnot, but we still have our struggles. We still have our things that we're working through personally. So always, keep that in mind.
Yes, thank you. And so we are, our previous episode was focused on growth mindset as discussed. in this beautiful podcast by Ed Milet. He's like literally my favorite motivational podcast. He just really dives into the good stuff.
Wealth of knowledge.
Yes. And he interviewed Dr. Andrew Huberman. Hey,
there we go. She remembered the name now.
And he's a neuroscientist, so he was able to break all this stuff down. Highly recommend going to listen to it. I'm not going to, dive too deep, but really the key there for the episode about growth mindset was that it's literally a process within your body. And so if you learn what those chemical processes are, because again, you can have these beliefs or receive these downloads or these knowings, but there's actual scientific evidence to support the information that you know. And so with that, is everything okay? Okay. See, a squirrel.
See, hey, but guess what? We push it through, okay? We keep it going. It's fine.
I'm literally holding on to this. I'm just clutching my crystal. Like,
let's get some more Palo Santo.
Yeah, I know. We're just,
all right.
So, growth mindset, it's connected to that dopamine. Learn how to harness that within yourself so that you're not attached to external rewards at the end of something, but you're actively enjoying the pursuit of happiness, the pursuit of the process, being there throughout the path process. Okay, so that's a key. And what he touches on as well is stress and anxiety. And he didn't dive too deep into that, but I loved what he said about it, how they're truly just, and this was, my recap of what he said in my own words. Seriously, go listen to this podcast.
Yeah, we're going to have the link again in the caption below, so make sure to check it out.
Yes. And stress and anxiety are really indicators for us, just as any emotion is, right? They're all indicators. They provide information. And the key with them is to harness their power that they're providing you and not allowing them to be the driver of what's going on. And so we can, we can stop, we can retreat, or we can choose to go forward. And I'm noticing this culture developing where people are like, my anxiety. And so they just like sit and do nothing. And then everybody's like supporting that kind of behavior.
Yeah, it's, there's a couple different takes, and again, it's going to take you experimenting with your life, experimenting what it means for you, what emotions are bringing up that physical, blockage in your body, because in one instance, your anxiety is telling you that there is danger, there is something to worry about, there is something to think about, to take a step back and reflect. And then there's another aspect of anxiety that's like, go on, you got this. Hey, push through. On the other side of this emotion, you're going to find exactly what you want. You're going to find exactly what it is you're looking for, but you're not going to get it unless you step outside of yourself and you get uncomfortable. So there is an intelligence within anxiety and depression. There is an actual meaning, behind it. It's not just there to tear us down or to cripple us or to enable us not to move where we want to on our journey. There is purpose behind everything that goes in our body. There's everything between the chemical reactions, the thought patterns. There's a purpose within it. And it's a matter of you figuring out what that purpose truly is.
Beautiful. Yes. And so it's natural, normal to have a little bit of fear, a little bit of anxiety and stress around things. And having that, I think I'm noticing this culture of like, just the existence of stress and anxiety or the existence of something, people get on high alert and they like have a full rejection of it. And they're unwilling to even engage with it. And that's kind of alarming to me from my perspective, because these things are natural and normal and they help us to actually pursue our goals and things. They help us to move forward. Honestly, like, there's Like, what do you do in your life where you have no fear, no anxiety, and when you look at it, it's this place of comfort. And is comfort existing at the same time as growth is existing? And sometimes there's a little bit of overlap, but when it's like that's all that there is, then it's stagnant. It's stagnant energy.
And if we know anything about energy, there needs to be a flow. In order for it to be alive and living and thriving, there is a flow, there's a change, there's movement, right? If something is stagnant, it's flatline, it's dead, it's not living. You even see, like, say with water, if water gets to a point where it's so pure chemically, fish can't live in there. There's no life. It becomes in such this saturated state that it removes itself from source in a sense. And so with figuring out your anxiety and your depression, again, I really encourage you to just take a step back and to remove society's fear-mongering about it and stepping into a curiosity about it. We mentioned curiosity before and having a childlike nature when you're figuring this stuff out.
Yes.
Being more curious about it. Like, okay, where is this coming from? Okay, I just did this. Is this what triggered it? Something go on throughout the middle of the day that, triggered this emotion? Get your little... We all played Clue,
yes,
all right?
Randii.
Get your little investigative cap on, all right? And figure out who done did it.
Yes.
So
Randii.
it's just embodying the curiosity and really wanting to learn for self, because that's the empowering aspect of it. Like, when you figure it out, then you get to step into this space of, oh, I know how to set myself up to flow with the universe and to receive the things that I want. There may be resistance, but I know how to move through it without staying stagnant, without being retreating and being like, oh no, this is, the anxiety's bad, the depression is bad, and I think we can both attest to our own personal experiences that the anxiety and depression, it's come up at different times in life, and oftentimes we fear the unknown. Sometimes it's not even the actual root of our issue that we're afraid of. It's fear of not knowing what it is.
Exactly.
And then maybe not being encouraged enough to investigate and just kind of breezing through it and like numbing ourselves to, what the issue is, practicing avoidance.
Exactly. And so the more that you strengthen your connection to the pathway and the process versus the end result, the more that you can notice your anxiety and view it as an indicator to keep going, actually, that you are on the right path. Because a little bit is healthy, but it's when we choose to focus on it that it then becomes our world. Like, I literally just made a little reel on Instagram of when the camera like focuses on these colors and these things, and then it expands and it's going, I forget the word for it, it's like a kaleidoscope type thing, basically, and that's a perfect visual representation of exactly how we as a human being with our attention create our world. And so when you're focusing on the specific aspect, that is gonna grow into your world. And I'm not even overstating that. Like,
attention goes where energy flows where attention goes. Like, wherever you are fixating your attention on. If you are so focused throughout your day on just anxiety and the fear of it and not diving deep to understand it, you're gonna make it something so much bigger than it really is. Like, the trigger to the anxiety could have been so minute. And then now it seems so detrimental to your health and this unconquerable monster. When really, if you would have just taken a step back to just say, okay, it could have literally just been you woke up on the wrong side of the bed, like you're a little dehydrated, it could be something so simple. But it takes you being curious and wanting to learn more about yourself so that you can move with more intention in your life.
Correct, yes. So a lot of what we're talking about is things that you can in the mind, let's step away from the mind for a moment, and let's remember how important grounding is, because grounding practices can keep us rooted and keep us in a space of not being sucked into these thought process vortexes. So intellectually, we have an innate nature to, in our mind, try to find some form of understanding, and chemically and energetically, this can get us sucked in to the vortexes. So if we continue to remain grounded with our energy while we're, allowing these thoughts to maybe go on their own but not be sucked in as like a vortex, that's really what you can do. Like, I'm getting an image of how people like to just literally like hiding in your bed, not getting out of bed, hiding away from the world, staying at home. And I'm kind of speaking to myself in that, like, I will be a little hermit sometimes when the world's too much, like afraid to go to the grocery store where there's so many crowds and so many people and things, very anxiety inducing. As I grounded myself, I was able to, hold my container of my energy. And so my anxiety wasn't going absolutely insane anymore.
Well, and being able to ground yourself allows you to trust yourself.
Yes.
If once you get into that practice of grounding, now there's trust that you know how to settle your energy, to get clear, to get more intentional, so that when you do step out, you don't have to worry about it as much. It's been a practice that you've developed, and okay, I don't have to let my environment control me so much. Sometimes that comes with you wanting so much control over every aspect of your life. So you might just want to step away and be like, okay, I can't control the world, so I'll just stay away from the world. But you got to dive in there sometimes, but just have these practices that you develop in your own space so that when you do step into the world, it's a lot easier and you're not focusing so much on trying to create a system of grounding because you've already done it at home.
I love that you bring that up, because as we deprogram our thought processes, along that deprogramming, you might discover, oh, this is a relationship I have with control, actually. This is what it's rooted in. And when you go even deeper to the beginning, maybe it goes back to your childhood, which it probably does for 7 years of your life, programming. So that's where you'll discover, oh, I was never in control at that time, and so I have this innate need to try to control every little thing around me because I feel out of control, actually.
Yeah.
And so that's an example of the deprogramming process. And once you know that, you can then choose how to reprogram it to a more, ideal thought process and a more ideal place. And looking at where you're at now.
Look, okay, you see how I just passed that baton and she just expanded on it so beautifully? Okay, we're going to have a crown moment, all right? Where Kelley gets the crown. All right, Kelley gets, let me not poke you.
I know, we're both so gentle. It's like, where are the ears and where are the headphones?
Are we good?
Oh, beautiful. So
is it good?
That
Does
was
it look
so
good?
Great.
Does she look beautiful? Is she radiating?
Oh.
No, that's exactly that. And a lot of the things that we will say as we continue to move through this series and move through different seasons and topics, a lot of it has connection points with things that we've already discussed. And that's what makes this whole journey so beautiful, because there's a connection point somewhere. And that connection point can actually serve as a bit of comfort and safety. That, okay, wait, I'm not, all crazy and out of whack. Like, there is some connection here. There's some purpose here. There's, loose ends that can be tied in different spaces. Might be talking about different things, but the basis, the foundation is very similar throughout our lives, throughout nature, throughout the universe and cosmos. So you can find some comfort in that.
Right? I love that.
Look, this Paula working.
I know. It needs to get going. But seriously, though, it's literally different perspectives of the same point. We're just hitting it from different angles. Yeah. And so as you ground, you're strengthening that relationship with
my mind had a scroll up.
very squirrely episode today. But we can still get it done with the squirreliness. Just meeting ourselves where we're at.
Girl, I am meeting
it. Yeah,
myself. We are meeting ourselves where we're at, okay?
We are meeting.
If you cannot give 100% of your effort in a day, give 100% of what you do have, okay? If I got 70, hey, we're going to go a full 70.
Full 70.
All right, but as long as I'm taking a step, as long as we're taking steps, that's all that matters.
Right.
All right? That's all that matters.
Right. We're enjoying the effort process, exactly where we're at, and 100% is going to look different every single day.
Yeah, it will. It will. You know, you're not always going to be on your A game. You know,
what even is your A game? You know what I'm saying? Like,
how do you what would you define that as? What is your A game? Or is it undefinable?
I know.
Is it?
I mean, I think it ultimately is to define something. You have to be like, okay, well, what's my perspective? What are my roots and my beliefs and everything, right? And so my answer might resonate, you know, with some people, while somebody else's answer is going to resonate with them and everything. And so I think really bringing your A game is just showing up as the best version of you at any given point in time, whatever that may be, which, again, the bar is always moving. Things are always shifting. And so your A game today is not your A game tomorrow. And as we practice these processes of expanding our capacities to exist and our capacities to hold containers for things like our feelings and our emotions and our dreams and our ideas and our goals, as we root into the growth mindset process, that's going to expand our capacity to be in pursuit of those things.
Yes.
So.
What I just thought about through that whole discussion of bringing your A game, giving all that you have with whatever you have.
It's gymnastics, I bet.
Yep, it's gymnastics. Here we go again, okay? But it's true. It's such a practice that I had to embody every single day. I gave the example in our last episode of doing conditioning. My body is sore. I know that after this conditioning, I have to go do routines on every single event, and I'm fatigued. So I would just train myself, okay, hey, if you can't do 20 reps of these today, just try 15. Just try 15, and hey, as long as I hit 15, which I'm going to, no matter how long it takes me to do that 15 rep, I'm going to get the 15. But if that's all I have, I can at least be proud that I still took effort. I can still provide myself with the encouragement that, dang, you didn't even know you'd be able to do any of it, and you got this done.
An
you did take
achievable
steps.
goal that you're actively, like, expressing gratitude and praise to yourself for doing. And he touches Andrew Huberman, Dr. Andrew Huberman. He talks about this in Huberman. So he does talk about it. This I was listening, driving over. I was like, yeah. So
and then the growth mindset will also kick in if I tell myself 15 and I get to that 15 and it's, you know what? Do a couple more. You got this, boo. And I might struggle.
You've then expanded your capacity.
Yep.
But if you were thinking about it in the way of like, oh, I'll just get it done, and then you're doing it just thinking about the end goal the whole time, and you're not present during the movements that you're doing, you're not like being there with yourself, but you're
not
actually
fully engaged.
You're not. It's a full. You have to be intentional about it. So if you miss the intentionality in the process, then it's not really going to work. You're going to get to the 15, and this is where, you know, depression kicks in. Like it's kind of like this like postpartum thing where you're just kind of like, ugh, you know, about it.
Like, what the heck? Like, why? Or because you're not attaching the intention to it. We talk about getting discouraged. You know what? I'm not even gonna do this. I can't. I don't even know how. Like,
giving up before putting any effort forward. And so there's such a high value that I think doesn't get talked about enough, where just think of, okay, so if you're listening to this and you're like, okay, how can I apply this? You know, thinking about your goals. Think about achievable goals. So there's actually this journal that I have that I really like. It's called the 5-Minute Journal. And one of the things in there that you put down as your goals for the day, you think about things within your control that you can accomplish. And then as you do them, you literally express gratitude. So think about, I want to feel the sun on my skin today. And then you go do that. And that was part of your goal. And while you're doing it, you're like fully there in the moment. You're feeling the sun on your skin, and you're just like, yes, like it's an internal process that's happening of gratitude and of enjoyment, and it's so freaking powerful, you guys. You need to do this.
Yeah, it is. It's very powerful.
It's powerful. Gosh.
But I guess one big takeaway that I am getting from just our discussion so far is, through this growth mindset, we encourage you to meet yourself where you're at.
Yes.
Meet yourself
Hell
where you're
yeah.
at. It is okay if you are not where you want to be. A lot of us aren't. And even when we get to where we want to be, there's oftentimes other things that we then want to achieve.
Exactly.
So it's this never-ending process of trying to achieve, something, or trying to embody something and embrace it. So meet yourself where you're at. I don't have to be where Kelley's at. She doesn't have to be where I'm at. And when you remove that expectation from yourself of having to live up to someone else,
comparing to others, essentially.
Exactly.
Comparing to others' journey. Because you have resources and experiences and things that I don't have and I will never have.
Right.
And same with my journey. And yet, here we are. Our journeys linked us up together.
Exactly.
And so you can't really, the things don't compare.
Yeah.
And what this is actually ringing in my brain is people who experience trauma. And a lot of them, I think, get hung up on this comparison of trauma.
Yes.
This comparison of, I've been through more than you. What is more? Like, who is the judge of that? You know what I mean? Because if we all have our own unique bodies and our own unique processes within ourselves, then the only judge of what we can handle is our inner being. That's it. You can't compare your inner being to other inner being. Like, we're all, it's just me. That's all that there is. It's just you. That's all that there is.
Ugh. That touches me in this sense of just through media in general right now. Particularly, I guess, in sports, but honestly, anything. We're so ridden in making comparisons, like the Kobe, Michael, and LeBron, debates, and just looking at like, oh, well, this rapper's better than this person, or that artist actually, is better than this. It's, who's the judge of those things, And I think in making these comparisons, you take away someone's uniqueness. You take away what they've done to get to where they're at. Just because it doesn't look the same doesn't mean it doesn't hold a similar value. A similar weight, a similar impact on the world. It might not be directly, say, impacting your world, but best believe if someone has reached this level, they're impacting someone. Somewhere they are inspiring people through whatever it is that they're doing. And it's okay if you don't resonate, but don't take their steeds just because you don't resonate. Don't take away someone's flowers.
Don't take
because it doesn't resonate with
flower. You know what I'm saying? Like, you could be that spark in their day offering a flower to them.
Right.
Because we all impact other people. Like, it's so important to have an awareness of yourself and what's going on. But having that awareness, the next step is being aware of how you exist in relation to other people and everything. And so please don't get caught in the trap of comparing and having the victim mindset pity party type thing of like, oh, what I've been through is so much worse than other people and and I'm not invalidating your experiences, but you validate your own experiences within yourself. You don't need that external validation. You don't need to be comparing yourself to other people. Meet yourself exactly where you're at, honor yourself exactly where you're at, and put your best foot forward exactly where you're at in that given point in time, today, in the present moment, right freaking now. Hey.
Okay, sis, you over there just...
It must be the crystal.
It's the crown.
It's the crown. It's the crown. This is a tiger's eye crown, and we thought it would hold value.
Yes. No, I love it. All right. It's a way for us to empower each other through these talks, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you see, like, look, as soon as I fit that thing on, it's just back and forth, killing it.
Go back.
Okay, so I would actually really like to ask Kelley, what are some, let's get into the reflections and actionable items.
Okay.
What kind of reflections would you give the viewers after listening to this and after listening to any other episodes that we had?
I do still want to talk about depression a little bit too.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. But we can do this right now, or do you want to? Let's do action items now for like anxiety and reflections, and we'll move to depression.
Far, yep.
Just real quick and everything. Okay, so action items for anxiety. Okay, honestly, I am somebody who I will go straight to the like freeze fawn mode type thing, and that's just within my personal processes. Okay, so look at what you do, and first step is building an awareness for these things, because if you don't have an awareness, then you can't do anything about it. Okay, so step one, awareness. Create awareness for this stuff and just really notice things. Okay, and pace yourself in whatever way that you're comfortable and ready to move. You don't want to go to, because then another thing for me is I also shut down when it's too much, because I'll get overwhelmed and everything.
Yes.
And I think that's a common response, especially for people who can relate to these squirrel factors that we're dealing with today. Okay, so notice them, notice the patterns, notice the structure, have that journal, write it all down, and just develop a relationship for the processes that are going on. And honestly, that's a lot. That's actually a lot within itself.
It is.
Like, that's really a lot. Because as you're practicing your grounding processes, you're going to have an intuition for kind of where to go and what you want. Yeah. So I'm not even going to go further than that.
Yeah, no.
Just do that.
Go at your own, find the awareness, okay? Gain that awareness. Start tapping into that awareness and being present. Like Kelley has said, go at your own pace. Figure out what works for you, and that also develops through gaining a relationship with yourself, developing that first. So thank you, Kelley. All right. Yes. And yes, no, we did want to touch on depression. We had a handful of things to say about that, so if you want to lead us off, Kelley.
So yes, so anxiety and stress, we just covered those. They're indicators to actually, continue on. They're actually indicators of move forward, and don't. You have the option to retreat, but they're indicating to go forward really on that growth path. Yeah. Okay, so depression is a little bit different, because depression is an indicator to go within. Yes. And it's not necessarily forward, backwards, or whatever. It's a go within your inner being and develop that connection with yourself. Yes. And so you can do this by, you can do it through meditation. You can do it through personal self-care practices, which are still meditation, because when you're there and you're mindful with it and you're doing it intentionally, anything that's intentional is a form of meditation, which is a form of grounding, right? It's all just different.
Yes.
Which, yes.
Puzzle.
So, I wish I had known that when I was severely depressed as a kid growing up. I think my first personal sorry guys, with this little trigger warning, whatever.
Trigger warning. Wait, do we have a button for that? Let me see. Let's try it out.
You knew the job was dangerous when you took it.
Wow.
There you go.
You knew it. So, I had multiple suicide attempts growing up personally, and I think my first one was when I was 12, you guys. So I've been dealing with chronic depression my whole freaking life, basically, all right? And along your like spiritual awakening path, I think that it actually starts with depression.
Yeah. I think
yeah.
I can attest to that.
That resonates for me.
That resonates.
Maybe it doesn't for you, who knows? But I actually think it does, because spirit is like, go within, like we're in here, we're inside you, like find us, like hear me. And so it's really an indicator to start building that relationship.
Mm-hmm.
So if what we're saying, like it all sounds like too much because you're just shut down from depression, then please just start with those baby steps.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, we said that for anybody, but like I'm really speaking to you directly right now. If this is something that you deal with, just really give yourself one achievable baby step that you can accomplish today, tomorrow, and 3 days from now, throughout the week. Don't set yourself up for failure. Make it happen. Do it. And when you do it, celebrate it.
Yes.
Celebrate it. That will make the next one. That'll grow your capacity. If you never start, you will never start. You have to start. So start now.
Yeah. That definitely resonates with me. I, for the bulk of my life, had more depression. Very young age. Started, probably around when I was like 8. It got pretty bad in middle school, but then it actually got a little worse through high school, and then college had its little peak. But with the depression that I experienced, and me and Kelley had a little bit of a conversation the other day about this. When I felt depressed, in my reflections, whenever I felt depressed, it was because I was not living in alignment with my higher self. It was my body letting me know, Randii, the way that you're moving right now in your life, the actions that you are taking are not fully honoring your higher self and what you truly want at your core, which for me transferred into I was living for other people and not for myself. So as Kelley's saying, through those depressive episodes, it was time for me to dive in. What does Randii want? What does Randii envision? What does Randii feel? Not what everyone else feels or thinks, but what do I think? And holding more value for myself rather than extending that so much to others that I had nothing left to give me. So I had no choice but to kind of go with whatever the social norms were at the time or whatever the media was saying. So I do feel personally that that journey kind of starts with that depression, particularly if you were not encouraged to embrace who you really were, or to embrace your own voice, or to ask yourself your own questions rather than constantly seeking outward. So yeah, start small. Don't give yourself too much to chew. That's kind of how I wanted to tie that up, because at that time I perceived that as that energy as I needed to go and do more.
Yes, and I love that you bring up that reflection associated with it, because depression is an indicator that our thought processes and our things are actually in the past, and then anxiety is an indication of it being in the future. So when you can bring it back to center, bring it back to full circle, bringing it back home to you, your inner being, your grounding practices, that's gonna alleviate you from those vortexes that are trying to remove you from yourself and take you away from your inner being. And so with my depression, it was also the same thing. I actually theorized that this is depression, where we actually attach our energy centers, our own energy cords. We attach them to external people, places, things, expectations. Remember thinking about attachments, like what are, sorry,
getting pretty juicy.
Passionate here. Where are your attachments? And if they are to other people, if you're hearing what we're saying and your thought processes are attached to like, well, that person didn't support me in my journey, and I don't have community on my journey, and I live alone, and I have no friends, and, you know, this is my life. Well, are you attaching, ask yourself this, am I attaching my energy centers to other people? Am I trying to control other people and things instead of being here with myself, loving myself exactly where I am today in this moment?
Yeah.
You know, these are being curious and connecting with your inner being, bring it back home. And so that visual of, anxiety, depression, home is within me, home is inside.
Yeah.
Where's the inner being? It's here. Develop a practice that you connect with to remind yourself, connect with your inner being.
Yes. And make a space for yourself to thrive, to enjoy, to participate actively in this life. I think from what Kelley is talking about, I just had a reflection on some of, in me, connecting my energy centers to outwardly things. It was a way that I invalidated my own experience, basically saying that my experience, who I am, has no value. And the things out in this world have value, but I'm an outcast. I feel weird. I have these quirks that I don't feel like are accepted by the general norms and what society has set is acceptable. So I put myself in this box of like, I don't fit in. Like, no one's gonna really like me. I can't really make connections. And then I disassociate from myself. And it just creates, that vortex energy that you just get sucked into and swamped into. So I really had to learn to embrace my differences and to embrace my uniqueness in the world and know that it's okay if you're not jiving to everything that the media tells you. It's okay to dare to be different. Like, it's okay. Because within that difference, there's a whole community out there waiting to connect with you, waiting to share their similar experiences of like, oh yeah, bro, like I felt the same, and then you're able to embrace and really cherish those connections of, okay, no, my experience, it is valid, but it starts here. If you cannot validate it for yourself, no external validation will fill that gap.
Exactly. Back to that kaleidoscope. Kaleidoscope. Okay, that's the word, all right. When we focus our attention, it's expanding that and creating our world and reality. So when we're focusing on other people and things outside of us, then that's like expanding, the anxiety and the thoughts and that. It's we're sucking into this little vortex and so get out of there. Get the fuck out of there.
Get out of the hole.
Get out now.
Right? Get out, because it's scary in there. It's dark. It's lonely. All right?
Lonely.
Sometimes you got to dive in the depths, all right? Sometimes it is necessary.
Yes. So when we connect back with our inner being and root our energy centers to us, to the vessel that we are in, that will then create the world around us, because as within, so without, as above, so below, what's in here is out there. So if you're not happy with the things out there, try reframing, focus on what's in here to make it so that what's in here reflects accurately out there, and keep working at yourself. If it's not reflecting out there, don't be like, oh, well, I guess it didn't work. You gotta keep going.
You gotta keep going.
You gotta build it, and they will come.
Yes.
Oh.
My phone is on. It is on silent too.
Oh, dang.
Wow. Maybe that was the universe like, all right, you guys wrap it up.
I know. All right. So the action items for depression, okay. Action items for depression is find ways to go within yourself, find what resonates with you in a baby step method. I think a lot of people are like, I can't meditate. My brain is going. Then go take a shower. And, have the, be there with the water and just focus on the water running down you. Go wash your dishes and focus on, the soap bubbles coming out. Like it's a way to focus your energy. So you don't need to sit there in silence like, I'm zen as fuck right now. Like, clean your room, and cleaning up outside will clean it up inside, and it'll clear the clutter so that you can be there more present.
And real quick, just on the clearing the clutter, sometimes that's why you're depressed, because I have found in my own world, and when I've looked at the world around me, whenever your space is in disarray, it's usually because your brain is also in that same kind of space. Your space is a reflection of your internal world. You know, she talks about the as above, so below, as within, so without. Your external world is a reflection of your internal world. Yeah. So
clean it up outside, clean it up inside.
Start with you. And it's okay to pull away a little bit. It's okay to have that me time. It's okay to tell folks that, hey, like, you know what? I don't really have much energy to give right now. I have to give to me first. I have to rejuvenate. I have to replenish. I have to figure out what's going on with me. Before I can give, I have to open my vessel enough to receive. I have to get into this grounded space and, you know, not be so attached to the outwardly things.
Exactly. And this perfectly leads into our next topic for next week, y'all.
Yes!
We're going to talk about the different, you know, identity states, you know, the ego and all those different, you know, what the, you know, angel, the devil, you know, all those things, and exactly how we can utilize them as resources and tools and their true purpose to nourish our inner being, and as resources to give us information and whatnot. So that's perfect. Okay, y'all, do your Ascension homework.
Yes.
Do your ascension deeds.
Do your reflections and your actionables. All right.
There we go.
Well, let's not.
Like, I got it. I don't know where that came from.
Look, homework is triggering for me.
I
don't want to do it. I don't want to do this damn homework. So yeah, please let us know what you guys think. Thank you again for tuning in, for supporting us, and also for supporting yourself. I feel if you are here and you are listening, you have already started the process in wanting to, you know, receive and wanting to step your foot into change and maybe try something new, or maybe you just need some, you know, there is a healthy dose of validation. So maybe you're thinking certain things and then you're listening here and you're like, okay, hey, like this is, you know, something that resonates. This is, you know, the confirmation that I needed from spirit. So please let us know what you guys think in the comments below. Follow us on social media. All of our tags are going to be in the caption. And you guys just have an amazing and blessed day, and we will see you guys next week.
Yes, hit that like, follow, subscribe, and join us for our journey. Create that engagement, exactly as Randii said.
We're here to create community.
Yes. Okay, have a beautiful day, y'all.
We out, y'all.